Hare Krishna. Okay, so seventh canto, chapter 11. So I'm going to read through the verses. I'm not going to read the Sanskrit. I'll read through the verses, and we will specifically discuss this 30 qualities, which are qualities for all human beings. So we'll specifically go into a little more detail, but otherwise I'll just go through some of these verses because actually this is discussion of Varnashrama. Now, obviously, we think that Varnashrama is not important, but actually, if you see throughout Bhagavatam, various places this Varnashrama is discussed. Prabhupada discusses Varnashrama in different purports, and specifically this section and the 11th canto. Krishna also talks about Varnashrama, and here Narada Muni is talking about Varnashrama. Now, what is the idea of Varnashrama? Is Varnashrama brings one to the path of devotion. Now, but we have to live. So there's a certain way in which people have to live in Varnashrama, and by doing that, eventually they'll come to devotion. What is the relevance for devotees now? Even practicing devotees, we still doing karma yoga, meaning we still engage in material activities, etc., etc. Now, there are certain principles that these verses will talk about, which are important even for practicing devotees, because we are not doing 24 hours devotion. Those who are doing 24 hours devotion, they don't have to be bothered about this. But those who are still engaged, attached to different levels, different extents of attachment to materially, etc., there are definitely certain things from these descriptions which can be applied. And we should understand saying that this is not even the platform of devotion. This is platform of cultured human life, Varnashrama. So those who are practicing devotion obviously should be on this platform. Now, Varnashrama has various rules and regulations. Not everything is practical for Kali Yuga, and not everything is required for practicing devotees. So some discretion has to be used to follow those which are relevant, which are going to be Anukulyasa Sankalpaha, which are going to help us make further progress in devotion. So we will read these verses with that perspective. And where things are required, relevant for us, I will highlight. And where things are just information, we will just go through it just so that we know, in case. Okay, so that's the approach we're going to take for the 5 chapters in this remaining chapters in this canto. Shukadeva Goswami continued, after hearing about the activities and character of Prahlad Maharaj, which are adored and discussed among great personalities like Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva, Yudhishthir Maharaj, the most respectful king among exalted personalities, again inquired from the great saint Narada in a mood of great pleasure. Maharaj Yudhishthir said, my dear Lord, I wish to hear from you about the principles of religion by which one can attain the ultimate goal of life, devotional service. So please understand, this is the goal. The principles of religion by which one can attain the ultimate goal of life, which is devotional service. This principle of religion is called Varnashrama. I wish to hear about the general occupational duties of human society and the system of social and spiritual advancement known as Varnashrama Dharma. So Maharaj Yudhishthira is clarifying what principles of religion he is talking about. He is talking about Varnashrama Dharma. What is the idea of Varnashrama Dharma? By which one can attain devotional service. And here devotional service means pure devotional service. So this is also important to understand. Now the principles of Varnashrama Dharma allow one to actually engage in mixed devotion. First there is no devotion, then there is mixed devotion, and eventually it will bring one to the platform of pure devotion. So that way it is absolutely very, very important. And those who don't follow Varnashrama are uncultured, not even considered cultured as per Vedas. Okay. So, which is why Prahlad Maharaj is asking to describe Varnashrama Dharma. O best of the Brahmanas, you are directly the son of Lord Brahma. Because of your austerities, mystic yoga and trance, you are considered the best of all of Lord Brahma's sons. So Brahma has so many sons, 10 primary sons, of which Narada Muni is considered as the best of all. No one is superior to you in peaceful life and mercy. Now, it's not just material peaceful life. This peaceful life is because of being on the perfect platform of devotion. And mercy, We know how Narada Muni distributes mercy. And no one knows better than you how to execute devotional service or how to become the best of the Brahmanas. So Vaishnava is the best of the Brahmanas, so which means that he should first of all be a Brahmana in guna and karma, and then he can become best of Brahmanas, right? And see, just imagine, Narada Muni is the best devotee. And to the best devotee, Maharaj Yudhishthir could have asked any other question, but he's asking about Varnashrama Dharma. And Narada Muni doesn't say, what is this? I am pure devotee. Why are you asking such things? No, because to come to that stage of pure devotion, this is absolutely required for the general mass of people. Therefore, you know all the principles of confidential religious life. Religious life is confidential because eventually it will bring one to the ultimate goal. But it's not apparent, it's not evident. So, Yudhishthira Maharaj is saying, no one knows them better than you. So, Narada Muni answers. After first offering my obeisances unto Lord Krishna, the protector of the religious principles of all living entities, Chaturvarnyam Maya system. Krishna is saying, I have only created, and he is the protector. So Narada Muni, before explaining his offering obeisances to Lord Krishna, then saying, let me explain the principles of the eternal religious system of which I have heard from the mouth of Narayana. Who is this Narayana? Narayana, right? Lord Narayana, along with his partial manifestation Nara, appeared in this world through the daughter of Daksha Maharaj, known as Murti. He was begotten by Dharma Maharaj for the benefit of all living entities. Even now, he is still engaged in executing great austerities near the place known as Badrikashram. Of course, we can't see them. So they're there. So Narayana Rishi, he was born from Dharma and Murti. For the benefit of all living entities, he appeared. And he is engaged in executing great austerities. The Supreme Being, the personality of Godhead, is the essence of all Vedic knowledge. Vedaishcha sarve rameva vedyaha. The root of all religious principles and the memory of great authorities. So great authorities have memory. We see so many exalted Vaishnavas in ISKCON, like quoting verses like water flowing. So that is the mercy of the Supreme Lord. Of course, doesn't mean that we should not try. We should also try to memorize verses, etc. O King Yudhishthira, this principle of religion is to be understood as evidence. Evidence of what? Evidence of the fact that Supreme Being is the essence of everything. On the basis of this religious principle, everything is satisfied, including one's mind, soul, and even one's body. So please understand this. Varnashrama principles satisfy one's mind, body, and soul. It's not just for the mind and body. So it is important. Okay. These are the general principles to be followed by all human beings. So I'm going to read this. Satyam daya tapas shaucham titiksheksha modamaha ahimsa brahmacharyam cha tyaga swadhyaya arjavam santosha samadruk seva gramyeho paramah shanaihi nrinam viparyaye heksha maunam atma vimarshanam अन्नाद्याधे संविभागो भूतेभ्यश्च यथार्हतः तेष्वात्मा देवता बुद्धिः सुतरां नृषु पाण्डव श्रवणं कीर्तनं चास्य स्मरणं महतां गतेः सेवे ज्यावन्ति दास्यं सख्यम् आत्मसमर्पणम् नृणामयं परो धर्मः सर्वेषां समुदाहृतः त्रिंशल्लक्षणवान् राजन् सर्वात्मा येन तुष्यति. Lakshanavan, 30 principles, 30 symptoms, Lakshana. Sarvatma yena tushyati. All Atma will become satisfied, tushyati, by this. So what are these? Truthfulness. Okay, Prabhupada is not given. Very elaborate purport. Okay. So we will anyway slightly contemplate. Truthfulness. Okay, so truthfulness for material, for achieving something materially, we should not lie. The only permission or allowance for lying is also not that it has to become a practice, but if inevitable, sometimes for Krishna consciousness, one might lie. For example, there's a festival, we want to come and we don't have leave. We might just send a last minute message to boss saying that I'm not well. But Shastra also says that it should not become second nature, because then, because of our conditioned nature, what we'll do is we'll start lying even when it is not required. And lying is a sin. Lying is one of the principles of sin. Okay, so generally, devotees should be truthful. Don't hide anything. Don't say white lies. Don't manipulate facts. Be truthful. And devotees tell generally it's very difficult, Prabhu. Yeah, if you think it's difficult, it's difficult. If you practice it, then it's not difficult. Then it becomes second nature. Mercy. Yeah, so we have to show mercy to all jivas, and specifically to other human beings who are bereft of bhakti. Of course, mercy doesn't mean that we start crying for everybody's suffering in this world and our own suffering, children suffering, relatives suffering, their problems. No, that is not this. And this mercy is to actually give Krishna consciousness to everybody. That is Hridaya Daurbalyam. What we just talked about in terms of crying for material reasons is Hridaya Daurbalyam, weakness of heart. But mercy is different from weakness of heart. Austerity. Observing fast on certain days of the month. Actually, one very nice thing I want to share. Actually, I've been asking devotees, some of devotees on this group and other groups who are associated with me, to share their sadhana chart. And I was so happy that most devotees are sending me their sadhana chart, and I'm now wanting to fall at all their lotus feet. Because 15 years of my devotion, I have not been able to remain as fixed as they are. Okay, now these devotees are getting up at 3:30 a.m. every day. And I just saw that sadhana chart. I was like, oof, I don't even have qualification to look at that sadhana chart, because my wake up time is not 3:30. So now I'm getting inspired by devotees. So I'm now trying to figure out, saying that how can I get up at 3:30. That one austerity is good enough, because it's going to change our life and everything around us. I mean, everything in our life will change with that, just that one austerity, right? And for those who are not inspired to get up at 3:30, I just want to give one carrot. Carrot is service in Goloka starts at 3:36 a.m. Okay, if it inspires you, those who are already following, to stick to it. Those who are not following, hopefully can get inspired. Okay, so that's very basic austerity we have to do, right? And some fasts, like on appearances days of the Lord and of great devotees, little austerity. And of course, food is the biggest austerity for most people. Not having honoring only Krishna prasadam is a big austerity, but that's all austerity, right? Bathing twice a day especially is recommended for brahmanas. Bathing thrice, but if not bathing twice, but this is for all human beings. So we should understand that absolutely it's also relevant for us. Tolerance. Tam Stitikshasva Bharata. Now this tolerance is very difficult, right? We can't, we can tolerate what we can tolerate, we can't tolerate what we can't tolerate. Meaning those things which are natural to us, which generally we have intolerance, as in we are tolerant about some things from birth are not very important for us. We tolerate. Some things which are very important for us, we will not be tolerant from beginning and we continue to remain intolerant. Now in the 11th canto, Krishna talks about, actually 11th canto is super interesting. I've just been reading it after many, many years. I was not able to understand it at all. And fortunately, this time I'm able to understand a little bit. And yeah, so Krishna talks about modes of nature. So PhD, modes of nature plus plus, beyond Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita, Krishna only listed various qualities of different modes, but here he is recommending. So our problem is because of our lower modes, right? That we all know. Mode of passion and ignorance. One of the things Krishna recommends or instructs in the 11th canto is that one has to come to the mode of goodness. Meaning, one has to do things in such a way that he doesn't go down to mode of passion and ignorance. In activities, in the way we think, in charity we give, in the food we eat, in the clothes we wear. I mean, generally, all those aspects that Krishna spoke about, few aspects like charity, determination, worker, happiness, faith, etc., etc. So many things he discussed. And how to come to the mode of goodness is to make sure that in all aspects of our life, we are not, we are not acting on the modes of passion or ignorance. And if there are certain aspects of our life where we are still remained on the mode of passion and ignorance, then those should be our focus to come out of them. And these are the ones which will create this lack of tolerance in us. Those aspects of our life which are in passion and ignorance will prevent us from being tolerant. So this is a secret for implementation. So if we are intolerant about certain things, or if we lack tolerance about certain things materially, meaning we are attracted by certain things, we can't tolerate their attraction, then we should make sure that more and more we try to remain in the mode of goodness throughout the day. When we are engaged in activities of devotion also, we should remain in mode of goodness initially, because generally even when we are chanting, we are in the mode of passion. When our mind is running here and there, mode of ignorance when we are sleepy. So even for our devotional practices, mode of goodness is favorable. So we have to try and make sure that we can remain in the mode of goodness throughout the day. And we should identify those things in our life which push us to passion and ignorance. So for example, I'll give you some examples. Now, suppose I'm a very much clean freak. I want everything to be very clean. Now, which is one of the qualities here, right? Which might come up here, I think, cleanliness, right? But now if I'm so much stuck to this cleanliness that I become angry, I become upset, then, I might shout at people, etc. That means that now that cleanliness itself, which is a sattvic quality, brought me down to rajasic or tamasic. Mostly rajasic if I'm shouting. And so we should not let anything, any material thing pull us down. We should not let anything pull us down to passion and ignorance. Some other practical things, for example, driving very fast brings us to passion, right? Or not being time conscious at all. Some being overly time conscious, some being not time conscious at all. Not time conscious at all is also ignorance, alasya, laziness, right? Being too much time conscious such that we get too pressured is brings us to passion, though the quality is good. Mm. Yeah, so some people, right? I've seen Mataji's again running against time, right? In the morning, cooking has to be done, dabba has to be packed, etc., etc. And we go into passion. So, which means that passion means that we are pressed for time, which means that we are not planning properly. So, like this, we have to introspect about our life and identify things that make us intolerant. Sometimes there might be real situations where we might have to become, show some intolerance. Maybe somebody is not following some recommended practices or doing something wrong. Maybe we've already told them once, twice, thrice, patiently. Still, it's not happening. We might lose our patience. But that should be for a purely spiritual reason. But at the same time, this lack of tolerance should not create um, what is it? Waves in our heart. Meaning, if we reached our heart, which means that somewhat it is emotionally we are connected. It's not an objective conversation. Though then again, we should understand saying that okay, I'm not so exalted. I'm getting affected by this also, and then we should work on these things. We should work on this. So we should make sure that 100% of like full time in the day, we are not losing our tolerance. At the same time, we are not becoming indifferent. It's okay. If I become too particular about something, I'm going into passion. So I'll just become indifferent towards something. No. Giving everything the required attention, but without falling down to lower modes is a matter of practice, sadhana. While yes, all this automatically should happen if we chant without aparadha. But the problem is that chanting without aparadha is also getting affected by this lack of mind control, right? Because our mind is inattentive chanting because we are not able to control the mind during the day. So some of these small practices we can trying to remain tolerant. Hmm. Hmm. Discrimination between right and wrong. Now, this also, while we should clearly have discrimination, especially for normal human beings, they absolutely have to have discrimination. Devotees also have to have discrimination. But again, in the 11th canto, Krishna says, don't get too hung up on the right and wrong of this world. Because what is important is being absorbed in me. So it's a higher principle. Okay, when we are trying to be completely absorbed in Krishna, some lower principle of right and wrong can distract us. So Krishna is saying, don't get distracted. So then you might even give up that lower principle if required. But that's only for exalted progressive devotees and more for their own personal application. But in general, we should discriminate between right and wrong. We should discriminate between good and bad association. It's not that somebody is doing something wrong, we just close our eyes in the name of Vaishnava Aparad. If it is actually something is wrong, then the person doing it, if it is clearly wrong, then he cannot be a Vaishnava. Or if he's a Vaishnava but is doing some apichet suduracharo, just a fall down, then we can ignore, but still we cannot give up discrimination. We can understand, okay, this is wrong, but it's just maybe a temporary situation with respect to this person. Not that we just close our eyes. We should never close our eyes. Okay, so discrimination should be there. So for right and wrong, we have to understand what is right, what is wrong, for which we have to read scriptures, we have to read Prabhupada's purports. Then we can understand what is right and wrong. Control of the mind. Even for a normal human being, control of mind, control of senses are required. So what about a devotee? A devotee should also try. Again, I'm connecting to 11th canto because many of these topics are again discussed there. And Krishna is saying there that the only way this can actually happen is by complete absorption of in Krishna. Only when we become completely absorbed in Krishna can we control our mind and senses. Till then, we can try based on the platform of knowledge. Meaning the mind is trying to do something wrong, then we can say, hey, this is wrong, this will result in this, unhappiness, suffering in the future, so don't engage. So we can try to discriminate using on the basis of knowledge. But we may or may not succeed. We will succeed only when we come to the stage of absorption in Krishna, when we would have got this spiritual strength to control mind and senses. But otherwise, one more thing actually, 11th canto says that we are actually the masters of our mind and senses, but we are today in the position of slave. So we should also remember when the mind and senses are driving us, we should understand saying that no, I am supposed to be Ishvara of these mind and senses. So I have to control them. And we should try. We should try. Non-violence. Again, non-violence is not, Prabhupada in Bhagavad Gita says non-violence means not, violence means preventing spiritual progress of jivas. Could be by killing animals, could be parents misdirecting children to material life and sense gratification, which is violence, etc. So we should be non-violent. Actually, this is another thing. Actually, even devotees think that what is wrong if I'll encourage my child to become material success. But it's a violence against the child. Because Bhagavatam says that we are supposed to give them devotion. That's our responsibility. Of course, means of livelihood is required, but that's not the only responsibility. And that also, that means of livelihood should be actually as per Varnashrama. But since we are not following all this, we will simply say, okay, become an engineer, become a doctor, become this, become that. And in the process of becoming that, one might just lose their devotion and we're not too worried about it. Which is not good. I see parents who themselves were not able to, devotee parents who themselves not able to do, their material life is not though great, etc. They'll just they'll also encourage their children to take the material route. So which is violence. Celibacy. Now this is one very important thing. Again, these things are repeatedly discussed in the 11th canto. Celibacy is not just for brahmacharis or sannyasis or vanaprasthas. Celibacy is something that has to be practiced by grihasthas. Celibacy for brahmacharis, vanaprastha and sannyasa is known. There is no indiscriminate engagement in sexual life for grihasthas. It is only for procreation when the time is conducive, which is once in a month, provided every month somebody is looking to beget children. Otherwise, this is not allowed. Again, repeating this because one more subject which is misunderstood, misrepresented for convenience. I was very disappointed when I was invited to one forum where there were some 3 people sitting on the dais and there were questions coming from audience who were actually youth. And somebody asked this question saying that, I've read and I've heard that, even engaging in sexual activity with wife is not allowed, which is the fact. I mean, is not allowed unless there is a need for procreation. One of the devotees on the panel just dismiss this off, saying that this is all, just too much fanaticism. And I was surprised, saying that, Shastra is completely saying the opposite. And here, there's one devotee who's respected, and he's sitting, and so many people are hearing from him, and he's just saying, no, no, this is not correct. Unfortunately, the forum was not right for me to just speak against that devotee. But then, taking that opportunity, in another question that was asked, I went back to the same topic and clarified, saying that no, this is what it is. Simple things like this, we want to misdirect people. Why? Because we are not able to control ourselves. So when I am not following it, how can I tell others? But at least the person who is not following it should feel ashamed that he is not following it, and we should try to follow. And this is true of everything that I speak. If I'm speaking something, it doesn't mean that I'm following everything. Wherever obvious, or wherever I can share, I even share that I'm fallen. Like I said, I can't get up at 3:30 yet. Right? But it doesn't mean that I'm perfect. At the same time, it doesn't mean that I'm following everything. So whatever I'm speaking is also meant for me. So I can tell, okay, this has to be followed. Not with the uphandedness of saying, I am following, you all follow, you're all fallen souls. Not like that. It's for me also. So there is no need to hide Shastra, hide the truth. So celibacy has to be followed by everybody. Simple truth. Charity. And again, we've talked about this multiple times. Every grihastha has to give charity. Every grihastha. And it has to be in proportion to their wealth and earning. If you're earning 1,000 rupees and we can give only 10 rupees, that's okay. If you are earning 10,000 rupees and we still want to give 10 rupees, then that's our self-centeredness. Okay, we might have, because we have 10,000, we have taken so much more obligations, financial obligations on our head. Okay. Still, there should be some attempt. Right. So charity is required. Reading of scripture every day. This is part of our morning sadhana. So we should read. Okay, so I'm stopping here. Now there are so many more qualities which I'm going to continue tomorrow. Krishna will. Okay. So there are any questions, comments? Yeah.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yeah.
I know it's a little touchy subject. Prabhu, like in the beginning, like if you talk about, be having sex only in 1 month and you're newly married, I see so many couples who haven't even touched their wives and they get divorced or they're getting frustrated. I mean, I don't know if others will talk openly about it. And in the beginning, like anybody who comes, probably they say no, sex is allowed. Illegal sex is not allowed. So,
Yeah.
Prabhu, it's very, very difficult to tell them only for procreation or just for once a month. Like I have seen this many a times, and I've seen this even with like when they come up to Guru Maharaj, and many a times he says, "I'm a sannyasi, and what am I to tell you?" Like
Yeah.
so it's very, very this subject matter. I mean, what you say is right, but you cannot. Uh, I don't know how to put it across. It's very like half in the beginning, Prabhu. None of us speak about it as once a month only for procreation. Prabhu.
No, but I'm saying, see, everything
Yeah.
about Krishna consciousness is about stopping things that we are doing which are wrong. Now, if we don't want to hear this, we don't want to tell others, what preaching are we doing? I don't know. Because see, these are things which if curtailed in the beginning, possibly will make it much easier. And I'm having devotees here, who have been hearing from me from their day one of Krishna consciousness. And you can ask them, if they find it difficult. If we have heard it from day one, we think that, oh, I'm so nasty that I don't know, and I will simply stick to it. Because when we come into devotion, we are super enthusiastic to follow things. And we have to tell them then that this is wrong. When they have developed certain taste for devotion, they're coming and they're, engaging in services, tell them the truth. They're not going to run away because they've already experienced higher taste. Now, once that higher taste diminishes, which happens very soon, right, in a year or two, then even if they hear, they will say, "Ayo, I'm so stuck. I can't overcome this problem." So I am not. I mean, my approach is different. My approach is
Yeah,
different. My
I was
my.
telling you, I
Yes,
was
yes,
telling you,
bro.
your approach is different. But I, because when I used to tell you, my guru, I've seen so many cases. And it's a problem is there when husband is a devotee and wife is not devotee, or wife is devotee and husband
Yeah,
is not
yeah.
devotee.
That I'll
There is the
explain. That I
biggest
can
problem
answer.
actually.
Yeah,
There is the biggest
yeah.
problem.
That is answerable. See, because that is a practical problem. Right now,
Yeah.
we are talking about when husband and wife are devotees.
Now,
See.
actually, one case I'm handling actually. It's the
Mhm.
biggest problem now. Last 3 year marriage is there. I'm
Mhm.
handling that case actually.
Okay.
So, per se, I'm not able to uh, convince both of them actually or not how to say this thing. Actually, lot, because there are problems also. It's not that only this once in a month problem is there. There are a lot of other problems also there actually.
Correct, correct. So yeah, yes, Prabhu. So there might be practical things consideration when we are specifically dealing with situations, right? But one thing is that when husband, one of the husband or wife is a devotee, then it is an obvious challenge, right? And in those situations, especially if I mean, and generally, I mean, again, generally speaking, right? Matajis are ready to come out of it. Generally, right? Men are more stuck. So when Matajis are devotees and their husbands are not, then I know that they are so repelled by the situation, repulsed by the situations, and so many devotees, have come and told me, and I've told them, see, we can't just overnight put a full stop to this. So I said, like, you have to start praying. But the only thing I tell such devotees is, hang on, don't get initiated, right? We are there with you, we'll support you. Just keep praying. The desire to actually get initiation will create prayers, which become so powerful that generally things stop. I've seen. I mean, I'm not just exaggerating. I know of devotees, right, who have had such serious problems, and suddenly something happened. Their health went down. Something health happened. Something happened. We just gradually it stopped. Husband stopped pestering. Right. So I mean, point I'm making is when we want to sincerely try to follow something, Krishna will also give mercy. Right. And if men are stuck with this, then of course, then there are different, things that have to be done. But at the same time, it's a much easier problem because men are the problem in most cases. So it's possibly, if that devotee is serious in devotion, then it's easy. Divya devotee is not serious. I mean, again, see, for me, one of the things that at least I follow is to not bring such devotees to initiation level, right? And if we take some time, it is their austerity for them. Say, yeah, if you want to get devoted initiated, then yeah, please stop this nonsense, right? And if they're really serious about it, then they will overcome. They will get over it. But hiding, going under the carpet is not the solution. And one of the things we should understand, saying that this, of course, now we should not take examples. See, sometimes gurus are left without words to say, because devotees are initiated, then they come and say things like this. Then what will guru say? Because if anything guru says now will result in guru ravagya. Guru is so concerned, saying that if I say no, he's going to fall down. If I say yes, he's going to fall down. It's very, very tricky. So we should not create such situations for our gurus, right? When we are bringing devotees to initiation, we should make sure that they understand the seriousness of this business. Of course, then there is a occasional fall down which happens, apit chet suduracharo. But whatever focus is to fire them up in devotional service so much that they don't have time to think about all this. Or even if by chance some odd, rare incident happens, then again, that fire of devotion should be so much that it should just burn these things in course of time. And definitely, it's not a willingly acceptable fact to be engaging in these activities. That at least that much devotee should be clear. At least their conscience should prick. At least they should feel, miserable when unavoidably they are getting engaging in these things. This is important, right? And if you don't tell them at all, first of all, they won't even know, because most people will not be reading Shastra so well. And then what happens? We're not helping them in any way to go to Krishna. I mean, and it's not really my way, it's Prabhupada's way, right? Prabhupada has never put brackets in his purport saying that, okay, this is only for devotees who are, not new to Krishna consciousness. Please don't read this. He's not done that in his books, right? So we should understand that it's for everybody. We've created our own discrimination for whatever, our reasons, which is questionable. But yeah, it's clear. At least we don't have to have any philosophical doubt about this. I'm concerned when it is philosophically misrepresented, misrepresented. Then we are really, we are misleading people. Maybe sincere devotees, if we tell them the truth, maybe they just don't know. Yeah, they've not got the higher taste, so maybe it's still there. But if we tell them saying that no, it's not so much pushing, so I can actually remain without it. Yeah, great. Maybe it just required somebody to tell them that it's not. Don't think that it's abnormal. Many people think it's abnormal not to engage in this act. So yeah, people will be in ignorance, so we can clarify situation and make them understand the importance of this. So one thing we can say, maybe, actually I was seeing somewhere saying that it's not allowed, basically, right? Whether we call it illicit or not is different, right? We can call it sense gratification, but it's not something that is conducive for progress in devotion. Okay, I know others won't talk about this topic. It's okay. Yeah, is there anything else? Any other questions, comments? Okay, so we discussed few qualities today of all human beings and especially of devotees. And tomorrow we will continue, Krishna willing, with other qualities. Okay, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Samveta Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.